So let's talk about that other bill that you just mentioned, HR 127. It would essentially gut the Second Amendment, and it also will get to the House floor and will probably get voted on and will probably pass in the House
Oh
and
my
get held
God.
back. So what does it do? It requires all kinds of things. It requires a psychiatric evaluation before you buy a gun. It requires that you tell the federal government, and they will make public the information of how many firearms you own, what they are, where in your house they are held, so that a thief can come straight in and get them.
Oh, that's
Uh,
unbelievable.
they bar things. They require licenses for things like handing it on to your children, licenses for loaning a firearm. You can't go out with your grandchildren and say, hey, this is how a 22 works. Nope. They anything that's a military style. Now that's a style question. A
Right,
semi-automatic with a military style. What does that mean? It
right,
has a little,
right.
camo on it or something.
Uh-huh.
All of that gets regulated, and then the kicker, the thing, and of course the government appoints the psychologists that evaluate you whether or not you can
Of
buy a
course
gun.
they do.
Oh,
Of
and by
course
the
they
way, they
do.
can confiscate all your guns
Yeah.
if they find that you're depressed, addicted to drugs, any number of other issues. The government psychologist looks at you and says, no, then they go in and they can take your guns. And the final part of this that I find stunning is the Democrats have fought for years against mandatory minimum sentences for counter narcotics, for example. And so, we say that if you traffic in a certain amount of narcotics, let's say heroin, you will face a mandatory minimum sentence. And that those are also at the state level and federal level. The Democrats have always said, well, this is somehow prejudicial. And so we aren't going to advocate for that. And then they turn around and impose mandatory minimum sentences in HR 127, up to $50,000, I think, in fines and 25 years in jail if you don't go through the licensing process. What kind of craziness is that?
Yeah. That's some
Gosh.
crazy.